Welcome to Connect to Joy. Your host, Carol DeChaine, is an intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters and Marconic multidimensional energy practitioner. Her quest is to help you realize new possibilities, discover and release what holds you back, and enable you to manifest an inspired life filled with joy. Join us on this journey of transformation. Now, here's your host, Carol DeChaine.
Welcome, beautiful spirits. This is a show that has been requested a number of times by my clients and my listeners. It's all about energy protection for yourself and your loved ones, especially during these strange and what seem like difficult times. The thing is, I find it depends on where you are in your journey what type of energy protection will work best for you. And if you want to protect others, that doesn't always work the way you may want it to. I want to try to answer today a number of questions I've been asked, and those include: how do we figure out what type of protection to use? When do we use it? And can we really help others to protect them? If you want to know specifically about protecting your home or your business, I have an episode completely devoted to that. It was back on season 1 in episode 20, and I called it Zap the Negative Energy. That episode is totally crammed with information. You learn about why and when it might be appropriate to have an energy space clearing to protect your home or your business, how often you might need it, and even how you can try to do it on your own. And I'll put a direct link to that episode in the description so you can go right to it and listen if that's the next step after this one. Now, getting back to individual energy protection, today's agenda includes: what is energy protection? Duh, start at the beginning, right? When might I need it? How do I know which type of protection will work for me? I'm going to give you more than 25 different types of energy protection that you can try. Some more concrete types that you would think of, maybe more obvious ones, and some that are more metaphysical and spiritual in that vein. And then, what results might I expect from energy protection, and how can I tweak them to make them work for me? And can I protect other people? I'll end with that one. Let's start with: what is energy protection? Well, for me, it's protecting your energy is about making sure you feel safe and secure from negativity, from harmful interactions, and draining people or entities so you have less stress, anxiety, and worry. That way you have more peace and balance in your life, and yes, more joy. And basically, energy protection can be about keeping and maintaining your own energy, and secondly, not letting someone else's negative energy impact you in a way you don't want. And that can include someone else, as in maybe a spirit or some entity or whatever it may be that you may not even know if it's a person or an entity or a being or what it is, because you might walk into a room going, why do I feel so bad? And maybe it was a person that had been there previously, but maybe they were killed there and it's that energy, or maybe it was an argument that just happened and they were still living and they just left the room. It could be almost anything that you might feel bombarded by. We'll go into a number of the more metaphysical ways of shifting energy and raising your vibration later in the show. So the next question is: when do I need energy protection? Now, feel into the ones that I'm going to tell you and see if any of these happen to you on a regular basis, because all of them will happen from time to time. But if you feel anxious, worried, or depressed on a regular basis, you might need energy protection. Someone else's energy might be bleeding into yours, or you might be pulling it into you. If you're spending a lot of energy on other people, so if you expend energy on other people and that's all you do all day long, helping other people, you could get exhausted and you might need to protect your energy from those people even while you're helping them. And that's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing. You might feel mentally or physically exhausted, so you might need energy protection. If after you leave someone you feel drained, you know that friend or person that you kind of roll your eyes when the phone rings and you look at the call answer, you look at it and you go, do I want to answer this call? Oh. And you do, and you feel the same way you always do. You feel drained when you hang up, or when you leave them and you see them in person, you feel drained. You probably need energy protection from that person. If you can't sleep or have horrible dreams or wake up constantly, you might need energy protection. If you take on other people's energy, meaning when you leave them, your emotions kind of mirror what theirs did, then you probably need energy protection. If you feel overwhelmed when you're in a crowd, now that last one may be because you're an empath and you feel a lot of what others are feeling, then you definitely need some sort of energy protection, maybe more than one in order to get you through. The next question I want to answer is, how do I know which type of protection will work for me? Because it's a really good question. But you won't necessarily really know. You may have to try the ones that appeal to you, and I'll go over those later. And if you're more spiritual, you can head right for the ones that I put in that category. But if you're more of a sort of a 3D, let's get it done sort of person, you might want to start with those. It's all good. Try one at a time until you start to feel good and feel more protected and safe. You may note that different types of energy protection work better for different occasions or occurrences. Maybe one type with your significant other and another with your children or your job. Just don't give up. Keep trying one at a time, but give each one a little time to see if it handles the issue before you move on to a second type of protection to try that. Now, here's a list of different energy protections you can try. I'm going to get right into it. The first set are the ones I consider 3D, and perhaps the ones you've heard of before. Note that these can work when you're facing negative energy in the moment or after the fact when you feel kind of out of it and you need some help. So the first thing is use boundaries. Don't be afraid to put up boundaries if you have situations or people that drive you crazy or they're bombarding you with negative energy. Now, I did a whole show on putting up boundaries, especially after you take down walls. But in a nutshell, when someone is doing something you don't like or makes you feel uncomfortable, you need to decide where to draw the line. You can say no to a situation or a person when you need to. Say no if they ask you to do something or to meet them somewhere, just say, I can't. And don't give them any excuses, just say, can't. Unless they say, well, why? I said, I have other things on my calendar that I can't let go of or whatever, but you don't have to give them a detailed explanation. Don't let them drain you or sway you into a bad mood due to their negativity. And you will recognize these people. You'll know. And boundaries doesn't have to be a huge thing. You don't have to make a big production necessarily out of talking to someone about your boundary. Sometimes you just set it up without talking to them about it. Say, okay, if this person draws that line, I'm done with them. I don't need to tell them because I've gone over it many times. I think I'm just done. Because maybe that's just who they are and you can't expect them to be different. But if you can't do it yourself and you can't handle it, you don't have to. The second thing is to trust your intuition or your gut or your sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. If someone feels off or bad to you or a situation does, get away from them or it. Change the script or just say no. Now, the third thing is if you feel drained in a situation or when you're around a person, stop giving away your energy. You may be giving too much, or you may be around what I call an energy vampire. It feels like you either give and get nothing back, or they just exhaust you and you don't even necessarily know why. If you feel that way when you get away from the person, be aware and change how much time you spend with them, or if there's someone you can even stop seeing, you may want to do that. Don't let that person continue to drain you. Be aware. That's the first step. Be aware of who they are and how often you feel that way around them. If it's every single time, unless it's somebody like a mother-in-law or a sister or a brother or a child, it may be harder to step away. But see what you can do and try one of these other things if you can't just step away that I'm going to be offering you, and see if one of those will help you in this particular situation. Otherwise, you might be able to just step away from the person altogether. Number 4 is control your emotions. And what I mean by that is sometimes we get pulled into fear or anger or worry or any other negative or heavier emotion, and you may not even realize how you got there or what set you off. Sometimes your ego just reacts and we give our energy away. You know, those buttons get pushed and we overreact to something. Later we go, oh, I didn't mean to do that. So just be aware that sometimes things happen. And that leads me to the next one, which is buttons and triggers. Be aware of anything that triggers you. If you know the triggers that make you give away your energy, just be careful. Maybe a certain person sets you off or a certain situation. pay attention and kind of be wary until you can change your habits around them. Because at some point, they won't trigger you anymore if you're aware of what happens and you want to make that change. Just keep trying different energy protections once you're aware of what triggers you. The next one is to take a moment and just get away from what or who is bothering you. Get some space and breathe. And that's all it takes sometimes. Sometimes you want to go into a meditation or you want to go out into the outdoors, get some breaths back, whatever you need to do, but give a little bit of space between you and whatever it is that's happening. Another way you can have energy protection is to have a physical place you can go to that brings you peace. Sometimes nature has the best choices for this. It'll help you shift any negative energy that could be around you. If you know you're facing an interview or someone you normally sets you off or drains you, you go there first. Kind of fill yourself up with that peace, with that joy, and realize that you don't have to fall out of there. And be aware when you do and what sets you off. And the next thing is part of what I just said. So be mindful and aware. Pay attention to what's around you and how you feel. It's kind of like an early warning system. If you can figure out what it is that sets you off, what triggers you, you'll be able to react differently if you see it coming. If you see that person walking up, you'll go, there they are. What do I do now? You might also try what I call a boomerang technique. It's where you let the negative energy sort of bounce off of you without impacting you. It's like a boomerang where they throw it at you and it circles around your back and comes back to the thrower, so that their own negative energy bounces back at them. Some people like using a mirror. So they hold the mirror up and it bounces, the energy will bounce off the mirror and right back at them. And that's a different kind of mirror technique than the one I'll get into later. But whatever you need to picture in order to make it work for you. You can also find friends and acquaintances that are positive and uplifting to be around. You may need to let go of the ones that don't work for you or that suck your energy. But while you do that, look for the good ones and appreciate them for the value that they bring you. Finding different friends or valuing the ones that really make you feel good about who you are is huge, because their energy is usually at a higher vibration than yours, or at least even, and they'll make you feel better about what's happening. And then when you're in a good space, you can make them feel better when they're down. It's great to have a friend like that. You can also do something like putting lavender oil on your third eye. That can bring you peace and calm the discordant energies. Some people don't like the smell and they don't want it anywhere near them, and other people find it relaxes them. So if you try it just a little bit first and see how you feel. And if it feels discordant or it doesn't really resonate with you, then don't use it. Try something different. Now, one of my favorites, which may seem a little weird, is to declutter your space. I know, not always something people love, but if you do it, a number of things will happen. First, things can be imbued with negativity, and getting rid of things that are can make you feel calmer and more at peace without even trying. Be sure not to hold on to something that has bad memories attached to it or belong to someone that you thought of as a bad person just because it is a family heirloom. Feel free to palm it off on someone else in the family, or just to let it go after you announce, hey, I don't want to keep this anymore. Does anybody want it? Or you can just sort of let it go without saying anything. Depends on how you feel about it. And it makes you feel expansive when you get rid of too much clutter. You might find you got rid of one or two things that you went, darn, I needed it. But if you can buy it again, it's no big deal. So make sure that the next time you try and declutter, figure out how you feel. How does your energy feel when you're done? Even if you only do one drawer or one area of your house, how does that make you feel? Does your energy feel better and clearer? Because that's another sort of energy protection, just doing that. And lastly, in this section, you can also declutter your mind. And what I mean by that is evaluating the habits and the emotions that are kind of a constant for you and seeing if it's time to let them go. Freeing yourself from negative or self-destructive habits, that's a great way to bring back positive energy into your life. And now I'm going to get into the more metaphysical ways to use energy protection. Some will work better than others, just like the others would, depending on your level of spiritual attainment. Fair warning, if something feels off, doesn't resonate with you or whatever, just stop using that protection pretty much immediately and then try something else. So here we go. You can use crystals, of course. Some people espouse black tourmaline crystals to repel negative energies, or selenite crystals. They're also known for cleansing, purifying, and protecting. Personally, crystals don't work for me, but when I do use them, I like to use whichever ones that I have handy that are laying around, because I've had some people give me gifts. I cover them with my hands and channel my highest connection to Source in through my hands so that that cleans the crystal and shifts it into its highest vibration that I can. Sometimes I break the crystals, they crack, but other times it works really well. And at that point, after I do that myself and clear and clean them, I'll either wear it or I'll put it in a section of my house or at my desk when I was working during the day if I feel a certain area needs protection. Now, this is one that worked for me really well at the office. You can put a bubble around you and you can imbue it with love, peace, or a certain color of light, maybe white light or lavender or purple light, whatever really works for you. But make sure you reinforce the bubble whenever you're around someone you know that drains you or makes you feel uncomfortable. I had something I tried at work, and I had somebody who was walking towards me, and I thought, oh my God, there they come. And I was a little ways around, about 4 desk worths of space back, and I saw them coming, and I went, okay, I'm going to put up the bubble. And I put it up because I didn't have it when I was sitting at my desk, and all of a sudden the person veered away from me. They took 2 steps to the side and kept walking, didn't say a word, and I went, yay! Well, that one worked. So I had to remember that one worked on this particular person, at least the first time I tried it. And that's something that I tried again later. So that one can work pretty well. And you can also put up a force field or a shield around you, around your aura when you feel negative energies that feel discordant, instead of a bubble if you prefer. Now, putting up a shield of some sort will protect you from anything negative, toxic, or stressful, so it's also a good thing. Depends on how you think which one will work best for you. If you're into sci-fi, maybe you're going to love that force field idea. Or if you're into Dungeons and Dragons or something, the shield may be your thing. Whatever it works. And if you want a bubble of light and love, maybe that's the sort of thing that you're more into. So any of those will work depending on who you are. You can also call on your angels, your guides, or what I call your team to help protect you if you're going somewhere that feels uncomfortable. You can ask them for your highest good and to help protect you in the situation. Whatever or whoever it is that you feel connected to, you can call on. You can also practice being neutral. And I mean by that nothing can impact you positive or negative. You feel almost like you're a third party watching what's going on. There's no judgment attached. And because there's no judgment attached, you can see the world from a more loving place and a more appreciative place. It's not that you're disconnected. It's that you are in this space of not worrying, not judging, and it's really a beautiful place. Sometimes you want to get out of that place to have more emotions attached, but many times when you're going into a place that is nerve-wracking, scary, whatever, feels unsafe, being in from a neutral space can really help you almost become invisible sometimes because people don't even bother you. They don't notice you sometimes when you're in that space. You can also, this is the second kind of mirror technique, you can realize that something negative may be something you see reflected of yourself in the mirror. So you're holding that mirror up and you're seeing that other person going, oh, that's actually me. That's something I need to learn. That lesson, and even sometimes we don't want to see that, but it may be really obvious when you let it kind of settle. Oh, that's something I need to grow on. So give that a thought in case that lesson is important for you. Maybe you don't need to protect yourself against it because it's really you, and you just need to be aware that this is a lesson I need to work on. You can also have a safe place you can visualize that brings you peace, not just a physical place, but also a spiritual type of place. A friend of mine calls this his happy place. So make sure you feel the peace or the comfort from where you visualize. And you can use breath to help you relax and recharge. And you can feel safe there. You can feel a sense of peace and happiness there as well, and even joy. Now, the next one's kind of fun. If you visualize something, you can visualize a vacuum sucking out all that negative and darker energy from your aura. If you already have the darker stuff there and you want to release it, you can have it suck out from your aura, from your chakras, different parts of your body. If your physical body hurts, imagine it going into joints or parts of your body that aren't doing so well, and get rid of that negative energy that way. Well, you can also use a broom if you don't want the vacuum visualization, but these can be wielded by your higher self, your guardian angel, or your guides, whatever resonates the best with you. So I always see someone on the other end of the vacuum that I trust, that's a guide, that's an angel, that's a whoever I feel right with, helping me to release all that negativity from my being. And then make sure that anytime you pull things out, you put something back in. Don't leave a void. If you suck it out of the vacuum, make sure you see love or joy or peace coming in the other side, so that you don't just leave a vacuum that the darkness was in, that you push something in that is lighter and brighter for you. You can also practice gratitude, which comes from many different people saying that, probably from different areas of you. But when you do that, gratitude is a beautiful, loving energy. And it can help you shift when you need to, either before something happens, if you know you're going to be meeting someone that drives you crazy, or after you feel kind of funky from being around someone or in a situation. You can also just be grateful that you survived it. You can be grateful that maybe you learned something from it, or that you came out the other side and everything was fine. It wasn't as bad as you thought. Whatever may happen, gratitude will help you shift some of the energies that maybe aren't so comfortable. And of course, you can use affirmations, which I have on all of my YouTube channel, pretty much. There's a lot of them on there. It can be a solid way to protect your energy. And here are a couple. One is, I am free from energy drains, which means that maybe if you say it in a positive, commanding way, you're going to find that people perhaps will not even come to you. They won't even come near you if you say you are free from energy drains. Or I allow positive energies only in my space. Or I allow only positive energies in my space. Whichever way you want to do it. There's a lot of affirmations you can use, but make sure that they're about yourself. You use your personal pronoun, I, my, me, whatever you need, as well as that they're a positive affirmation and that they're happening right this minute. And that you feel powerful when you do them. They feel like they move you in some way. I explain all about how to use affirmations on another podcast, but I also have a bunch of the Joy Corner on YouTube, which you can, every single one of the Joy Corner is an I am affirmation, and it comes out every Sunday, or at least it has for a number of years now. You can look back over those if it's something that will be of assistance to you. Now, the next one, having been to Unity Church from a very young age, I find the Prayer for Protection by James Dillett Freeman to feel really good for me. And it is, the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. And I always say, and all is well, before the amen part. And you can look this up for the Prayer of Protection by James Dillett Freeman. And I'll say it one more time, so here we go. And you might want to close your eyes and see if it resonates with you. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Amen. There are, of course, other things you can try. There are candles that are specifically imbued for certain things for energy protection. You can do sea salt baths. There's certain music you might want to try to see how it feels. Some crystal singing bowls might feel good to you. I find those don't work for me at all anymore. They feel like they harm my aura and my energy, so I don't go there anymore. But there are a number of ways that you can protect yourself or clear negative energy that you already have. The next section is, what results might I expect if I try energy protection? Well, like anything, you will probably get a variety of results. Now, so here are some of them. You might get nothing. There might be no change. You might have a slight or partial relief. You might have a delayed relief. You could, of course, have an immediate relief, but it may not hold. Or you might have an immediate and total relief from the energy problem. Let me look into each one of these and what you should do or what you can do. If you have nothing and basically nothing changes, you tried an energy protection of some sort and given it a little time and nothing occurs, the next step would be to try a second type of protection. See if something else shifts better for you or works better. Now, number 2, the slight or partial relief. You feel like whatever is bothering you has been relieved, but only a little bit. In that case, you might want to tweak the protection a little. Change the wording or maybe your focus on what you're doing. Or you might want to add another layer to it and with a different type of protection. The third thing about the delayed relief, nothing seems to happen, and then all of a sudden things seem to get better. And with that one, there is no next step. Just don't give up too soon on the original protection you tried, and realize that the next time you try it, if it takes even longer for the relief, you might want to tweak it a little bit in case there's some wording that you used or some intention that wasn't strong enough that you need to adjust. Because intention is very important. How much power you put behind the intention you have. This is going to happen is better than, well, I'd like this to happen. Because if you aren't commanding your being, your subconscious to listen and get in gear, it's not going to happen. Well, very often. Sometimes it takes a while. Now, the immediate relief that doesn't hold, everything seems to get better and then it gets worse again. Kind of like taking an ibuprofen that wears off after 4 hours, so your headache comes back again. Try looking at what happened that shifted the relief so you don't have it anymore. Did something else happen? Did a person get back in your face again? First, try to do the initial protection again in case it needs just more strength and more intention. And then you can either double the strength of the first protection or layer it with another one. So just pay attention. That immediate relief that doesn't hold is kind of a clue sometimes to what sets you off, because many times there's that secondary thing that happens that just sets you back off again. And then you go, wait a minute. All right. I didn't realize this thing bugs me. This is that attention and awareness of what bothers you. So that may be another clue. And the last one of the immediate and total relief is hallelujah, it worked, yay. Now you might want to look at what you did so you have something to go by the next time it happens. How much energy did you put into it? What did you use? Who was the person you used it on? Just in case it'll work again. Sometimes it won't because every single one is different, but sometimes certain things will happen over and over again with a certain person, and you'll have less and less problem because you'll have that protection that works every time. So keep trying. Now the question of can I protect other people is a big one for folks. And here's the lawyer's answer. It depends. Yes and no. Whether it's your significant other, your children, or your friends, sometimes we really want to protect someone, especially if we see them heading into what we consider a bad situation or something we've already done and we know the answer of how to fix it. But we really can't fix anyone. They have to go through things for themselves so many times. And if you think about it, you may agree that you shouldn't try and change an outcome for another person because you don't know what their highest good is, and maybe they need to go through that lesson because we don't really know. So for example, they may be facing something we see as absolutely horrible, and we want to protect them like a disease or a bad relationship, but the lessons they learn from those things, they may make them stronger and help them make better decisions the rest of their lives. Without what seems like harder lessons, they may not be able to have a happier life in the long run. So what do we do? Well, take that step back and try to see the bigger picture. Don't let your emotions or your fear for the other person get in the way. I recommend as a spiritual person that you take that moment and pray about it. You can always hold the person in the light and state that you see the situation working out for that person's highest good. That is probably the best way not to interfere with what they need to go through, if they truly need to go through it. And if what's in their highest good is healing, you can see that happening quicker. But you don't want to interfere with that person's path or their purpose, because that really can throw them off the rest of their life. So always remember to take that step back. Living in fear only pulls down the other person's vibration if you throw that feeling their way. And it hurts you too. So really think about helping others and what first your motivation is, and then allow yourself to just be there for them and see them in their highest and best place. Today we've covered a lot of ground about energy protection. We looked at what energy protection is, when you might need it. We looked at if energy protection will work for you. Over 25 different types of energy protection you can try, some of which are in the more metaphysical or spiritual vein. The results you might expect and how to tweak them to make them work. And if you use energy protection on other people, what might happen and what you can do. Energy protection can be used in many different ways. Before you encounter a known negative or stressful person or situation, as you feel an unknown that seems off kind of approach, or during an encounter or even afterwards. You can use it at any of those times. Don't be afraid to try the different energy protections. As I said, some work better than others for different situations and with different people. You may find that the same one works all the time for you, but it seems to be kind of rare that that's the instance. It's more likely the same one may work on your spouse, but you'll need a different one for your boss or your job. And unfortunately, sometimes every time seems to need a different energy protection. So just keep with it. Try different ones. Realize if you feel great, but you swing into depression, fear, or maybe even worry when you enter your home or your office or wherever you work, and it consistently happens, go ahead and listen to that episode I mentioned earlier on home and business energy space clearings. I'll have that link in the episode description. Now, it may be that a bigger area has to be cleared than just your aura. And if that's the case, I've seen it happen when I do that work many, many times that everybody in the house brightens up. They get more peaceful. Things seem to harmonize more. And it could just be you, or it could be your whole house that needs a little bit of extra help. And energy protection is all about keeping and maintaining your own energy, but secondly, not letting someone else's negative energy impact you in a way you don't want, so you can live in peace and joy. Thank you for joining me here today. If you'd like to know more about intuitive, spiritual, or life or business coaching with me, or Marconics multidimensional energy, please check out my website at www.connecttojoy.com and follow me on Instagram, also at connect2joy. That's the number 2 in the middle. Until next week, be courageous and reach higher. Just take one step at a time on your journey and get the help you need when you need it, and get out there and find your joy, because you deserve it.
Thank you for listening to Connect to Joy. If you love the show, make sure you rate, review, and share this podcast, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Contact the host, Carol DeChaine, with questions and comments, ideas for future episodes, or if you would like to become a guest. And remember, transformation is a journey and not an end destination. So be kind to yourself, because you are already enough to have the joyful, limitless life that you desire.